Right, folks, you're back at the Cow Corner. Kind of middle of day 3 at the World Cup. This is Prashant here with Jatan. Welcome to Cow Corner. And obviously, we are trying to squeeze our time, either before work or during our calls or after our calls, I should say, not during our calls. We thought if the first 2 days were exciting, third is going to be maybe even more. Third is the charm, whatever they call it, hat trick. It turned out to be pretty one-sided, I think, but it's always there is always more to it than what meets the eye. So there's always some subplots and interesting things that are going on that could have short-term or long-term impact. So we're going to jump into a couple of matches. I'm here with Jatan right now, and then we're going to have again part 2 conversation with Siddharth at some point.
The first match, Scotland Italy, we thought it would be a well contested, closely contested match, and for a long time it seemed so. Scotland, we all know, right, were a late entrant. So while Italy has known for a while that they're going to be competing in the World Cup and probably preparing accordingly, Scotland got that news probably a couple of weeks back or a week back, right, that they're going to start. So getting yourself together, coming to a country which you haven't really visited much to start to play, right, can get daunting, can get interesting. I think there was also again some visa issues with a couple of Scotland's players, but that got sorted out soon, so there would be some stress. After all of that, they've already played a game.
Wait, Jatan, hold on. I'm a little confused. So isn't Scotland Italy match that's going to happen like in June? What World Cup are we talking about? Are you like talking about soccer World Cup or cricket World Cup?
But yeah, here it was kind of a little different. Italy was playing their first World Cup, first match of the World Cup, right? Big day for them, right?
Yeah.
And it started well for Scotland, I think. They came up with a huge score. Unfortunately, like the one thing that I noticed was Italy's captain Madsen, right? He got injured while fielding, right? So he tried to dive, save a boundary at mid-on or mid-off, right? Actually, yeah, mid-off, and he I think fell badly on his shoulder and injured it himself. He's one of their most important batsmen, and so he obviously had to be taken out. He actually had a sling on his arm, so I'm not even sure if he's going to play
Wow.
in the World Cup. Yeah, the captain, right? Probably their most experienced player. So that was a bummer for Italy, right? Started on the wrong foot, and the inexperience did show up. Scotland had played one game against West Indies. They did threaten them for a moment. I thought again last match Barrington played really well, and while he was on the crease, had he played the 20 overs, had he played till the end, the result could have been very different in the West Indies game. So they already had taste of what's expected, what kind of pitches are there. So they definitely seemed more experienced as well as prepared, and they made it count. They made 207 just for the loss of 4 wickets. In the first game, Muncy was caught by a brilliant catch by Hetmeyer, which kind of cut short his innings. Right, he was looking in good form then also, but he made it count this time, scoring a really fast 84 in 54 balls, assisted by most of the other players. Right, so they took 207 for 4. Bowling wise, not much to talk about. People tried. Thomas Draka was expected to do well, but he kind of leaked some runs. So yeah, it was probably not one of the best days for the Italian team, and they lost their captain much like probably in the first few overs, right? So that was again a bummer.
Is it
Uh,
is it the first 200 of this World Cup? I'm just trying to go off of
oh
memory.
wow. Hmm.
Because 180, we've seen 180s, 160s. I don't know if any team
It
has.
actually was. It actually was.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
the
first.
first 200 of the World Cup. I didn't notice that, but yeah,
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, so first 200 coming from Scotland, who were not even going to be here in the first place. So that bodes well for Scotland as they have 2 more matches to go. So when Italy came into bat, they would have obviously they've lost one of their best batsmen, but interestingly, right, they didn't give in without a fight, right? So JJ Smuts, who's played, I think, for South Africa, if I'm not wrong, Henry Manenti and Ben Manenti, the brothers, they gave a good fight, right? And Ben even made a 50, a pretty fast clip, 52 in 31 balls. Once they lost these guys, right? I think they lost their last 5 wickets just for 5 runs. I mean, once they lost these players, I think the tail really did not wag, and it
Yeah.
came down to probably less experience. So I don't know. There's what the heck for me here, but I guess first match, I wish that luck hadn't run out with the captain getting
Yeah.
injured.
Yeah.
So what the heck? I guess it's just fate, right? What the heck? They could have had better better luck here.
Maybe the other way
Yeah.
to look at it is things would only get better for Italy maybe after this, right? They haven't yet qualified for Soccer World Cup. We thought they will do something, they have an opportunity here, but yeah, what the heck? Yeah. I think-
Yeah, one thing though, I just want to just think about or put it out. So with such injuries, right, where it's pretty obvious that the player is not going to have any further role in the game, we have concussion substitutions, right? Maybe we have to think about for such injuries, not cramps, no,
Yeah, yeah.
not a headache or fever, but such injuries which actually happen while you're trying to save a run or save a boundary. Not even, I think, hamstring pulls. Maybe that's also probably doesn't count. But certain injuries, right, which basically like probably a broken shoulder or something. Maybe at that point you should probably allow a like for like replacement, something the ICC could think about. Right?
That's a good,
It's going to be hard to, yeah, it's going to be hard to make sure that teams don't take advantage of it. But I guess the same thing with concussion, right?
correct, correct. I mean, you shouldn't worry too much about somebody abusing the rule because anytime you make a rule or you make a concession, somebody is trying to figure out how to wiggle out of it or take advantage of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I would have liked to them to get a like for like replacement. Sure, you cannot replace the captain, but at least you could have replaced the batsman.
yeah, like at some point, I remember Labuschagne came in, slight tangent here, but Labuschagne came
Yeah,
as a
as a
concussion
concussion
replacement
substitute.
for Smith, and
Yeah,
rest is
and the rest is history.
exactly. So, somebody's loss could be somebody else's opportunity. So again, for Italy, interestingly, I had assumed that Italy would be in Soccer World Cup, but they haven't qualified themselves yet. They are still fighting the qualification. They are here in Cricket World Cup with really interesting team constitution. There are a couple of set of brothers I think that are there. We had discussed their team in a couple of episodes ago. But then to lose out up front, again, maybe everything else after this is going to be better for them. The other match that was happening was Zimbabwe versus Oman. Now, that particular matchup maybe wasn't a big deal because in this group, the biggest matchup I think is going to be Zimbabwe Sri Lanka,
Right.
which is I think is going to happen about a week I think from now, because you got to assume Australia is going to win all their matches, and then Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka are going to beat the other two teams, right? Ireland and Oman, even though Sri Lanka almost blew that. But
Yeah.
then match between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka could be key. And I mean, what if that match is for some reason because of weather and such doesn't happen? So the net run rate I think will come into play. So
Yeah.
interestingly, Oman scored about, I think they scored 103
103.
runs,
Yeah.
and the Zimbabwean pace attack did really well. Ngarawe, uh, Ngarawa, I think Ngarawa. I need to learn how to pronounce Ngarawa and Muzarbani. So good pace attack. So they kept Oman to 103 and then chased it down. So they got
Yeah.
a pretty good boost for their net run rate.
100. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, there was a bit of, they lost a couple of wickets when at 32 wickets. So, but 103 is never a threatening score at all
Hmm.
unless the pitch is a minefield, right? Which is not going to be the case in T20. Of course, you still need bowling attack to take advantage of that. What I realized is I didn't know that Zimbabwean wicketkeeper batter, Brendan Taylor, who just got back from some severe suspensions.
Yeah.
spot fixing, which
Mm,
he basically accepted that charge. Also, some, cocaine or drug. Again, people have to they deal with a lot of those situations. I think at some point he came and even talked about it very openly. So it was good to see in a way that players like that are trying to fight and get over their challenges, and this sort of World Cup type stage gives them ability to come and say, hey, I'm here, I'm getting over stuff, and I'm here to perform. So I guess during the match he got, I think, some hamstring injury, so he was kind of taken out a little bit. But I
yeah.
didn't know about Brendan Taylor and his.
Yeah. I would pardon getting into drugs and coming back and talking about it and making sure the next generation doesn't get into it. But spot fixing, I
Yeah,
can't pardon that, right?
yeah,
So what the heck is he doing here? But well, he served his sentence. Maybe he's a better person. But really, if you're
yeah,
fixing the cricket match, that's why. I mean,
yeah,
we've had that in the past. We have Indian cricket history was also unfortunately discolored because of that. Nobody knew exactly what happened, but
yeah,
names like Azharuddin and those were there. He definitely, obviously, still claims innocence, but we don't know, right? So,
yeah.
um,
There are
and
Pakistani players, right?
then
South
Pakistani
African,
players,
some
yeah,
players.
the bowlers, like, I mean, that was absolutely a clear case of
Yeah,
overstepping. I mean, he overstepped Asif, right? He overstepped like a yard ahead of the batting crease. So the runner crease. So they'll never regain its respect in my eyes. So
no, fair enough.
good for Brandon. He's back. But yeah.
But again, big match for Zimbabwe would be Zimbabwe Sri Lanka. We haven't seen
Mm.
Australians yet. Australia hasn't played their match yet, so there's still a lot of action coming up just up front. Jatan, there was another player you had mentioned from a team, I think US,
Yeah. So he's not here. Yeah.
Aaron Jones, right? Yeah,
I don't even know if it is proven for him. So there's
yeah, yeah.
investigation going on. So you obviously don't play. One last thing, right? Is it just me, or are you also thinking about the pitches in Colombo are behaving very differently than what you would expect? Murzabani and the Pacers getting extra bounce. I think
Yeah.
the top order of Oman, though I didn't watch the game much, but the top order of Oman collapsed because of extra bounce, which obviously the Zimbabwe bowlers, Murzabani and
Garwa.
Garawa, were able to extract, right? So, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, that's a slight what the heck for me. Like, how are the pitches behaving very differently? Well, that kind of brings in slightly more bit of an edge into the game, but yeah, that kind of surprise is interesting in a way. Even the other game, right, which happened in Colombo, I think Sri Lanka, Ireland was
Ireland. Yeah.
also, yeah, not the typical Colombo wicket, but yeah, just interesting. Some minor interesting things get
Not big
sprinkled
scores
in.
either. So at the outset of this World Cup, we were all saying, is 500 going to get reached? Somebody would score 300, all sorts of stuff. And
Actually,
Scotland is the
it,
first team to score 200.
yeah, it's the interesting thing I read somewhere. There's an interview of Glenn Phillips I was reading somewhere, and
Yeah,
this was done before even the New Zealand India series,
yeah,
and he was saying that yeah, the initial series with India for the to warm up for the I mean the 5 match series will be probably a lot more runs, and he was saying that yeah, typically what he's noticed in some continent for such series you have flatter wickets, and when the actual World Cup starts, the wickets are very different. So I don't
nice.
know. I mean, that's what Phillips said. So I don't know if that is the trend or. But yeah, it's interesting. The wickets are different.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it might get better. But usually the wickets crumble as we go along. Maybe they'll use newer wickets, so we'll see how that goes.
As we are wrapping up our first sessions and looking ahead for day four, one big marquee matchup that's coming up is USA Pakistan. And by the way, we're also hearing that Pakistan is still considering playing India. That at some point you got to stop. I mean, come on. There is a saying that I don't think I can say it on the air, that when either do what you need to do or get off the pot, as they say. Different kind of pot. Either finish your job, or just get up. Don't just keep
Oh,
sitting there. And it's very apt. Either do what you need to do, get on with it, or just get off the pot.
I think it's crazy the kind of leverage or what they're trying to get out of this.
It's nuts.
Uh,
It's
yeah, I
nuts.
mean, it's all stupid
That's the what
theater.
the heck.
It's
That's the what the
ridiculous.
heck for this episode.
What
What the
the
heck?
heck? Pakistan's government said you're not playing India.
Right.
Done, right? Done. Let's move
Illegal.
on.
Illegal.
Why are they even talking? Get lost. Yeah,
Anyway, so
ridiculous.
Pakistan USA match should be interesting. I hope
Yeah,
it doesn't go like lopsided one way or the other. So big marquee
yeah.
matchup coming up. The other two matches seem pretty straightforward, actually. So, but again,
No,
let's
Netherlands, Namibia, you never know. I haven't seen Namibia play for a
Namibia.
while, so
True.
it'll be an interesting one. 11 a.m. tomorrow morning for me. Yeah, New Zealand will be.
So the
They should
Namibian,
win.
we had talked about their captain spinner, right? So interesting couple of players in Namibia. So you're right. I may have to eat my words about Namibia, Netherlands being a straightforward match. So
No, we
we'll
don't know. Yeah, Netherlands definitely more experienced side, but I would like to see how Namibia performs. Gerhard Erasmus, right? Definitely a known
the captain,
name in the cricketing circles. Yeah. Oh, US is going to win.
100%. USA. There's no question about that. They're going to win
Yeah.
it because
So
they
if you have
thought
to
they
make a
had
call,
India, right? They thought
yeah.
they had India. They're like okay, if we couldn't get India, we're going to get Pakistan. So
Right.
pick.
And between New Zealand and United Arab Emirates, it's probably New Zealand. And between Netherlands and Namibia, I'll probably pick Netherlands. But yeah, I think it'll be a close game. And I want to see what Namibia got.
We're going to wrap up right now, at least our first half. We'll pick it up with Siddharth, and this is the Cow Corner. Cow Corner, episode 11, day 3. Siddharth and I, Prashant. We'll get into some other details. One match that we had not talked about earlier, and some other breaking news, like stale breaking news. Hello, Siddharth.
What's up? How are you doing?
What's up? All good. So, before we get into the breaking news, we had not actually looked at the South Africa match.
So pretty straightforward match for South Africa. They scored 213 for 4 in the first innings. Standout performance by Aiden Markram, and then good batting through the middle by Rickleton, Stubbs, and David Miller. And Canada, but just didn't really have the firepower to get to 200, and were scored 156 from their 20 overs. And then the star from South Africa's side in the bowling department was Lungi Ngidi with 4 for 31, doing a lot of his damage up front in the power play, taking the wicket on the first delivery of the innings. All in all, South Africa was a pretty clinical performance. Not really anything much more to say about that. It was interesting that I guess maybe Brevis didn't score runs in this match, but pretty much all the other batsmen did. So honestly, pretty straightforward.
No, and so that when we were looking at all the squads in detail, right? You had talked about South African squad, and it's again, I like to use the word frighteningly good, right? How deep they bat, right? And yesterday we were discussing number 7 and number 8. For them, number 7 is Marco Jansen, I think, right? And
Yep.
number 8 is
Didn't have to bat.
right.
Corbin
Number 8 is
Bosch.
Bosch,
So
right?
it would probably
Exactly.
be Corbin Bosch at 7 and Marco Jansen at 8.
At
And then
8.
they have Rabada at 9, Maharaj at 10, and then Ngidi at 11. So
Yeah, I mean,
Maharaj
Maharaj
is
is a
also a
great bat.
decent batsman. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's why yesterday we were talking about number 7 and 8, especially if you're chasing something big and you need both ends firing. They can actually do that. I was actually checking Canada's. We had looked at one of their bowlers, Saad bin Zafar. We had looked at one of the interesting stats for him. He was the first bowler to have 4 overs for no runs at some point. I guess these are like edge cases. They didn't. I don't think bowling wise Canada did anything spectacular. And the other thing, Siddharth, we talked about earlier was this is like only the second 200 plus score, right? The only other one was Scotland, which is, really
Mm.
interesting how
Yep.
the pitches are lining up.
Yeah. Honestly, Scotland scoring 200 was a little bit surprising.
Let's see.
But they were. I think it was a great performance by George Munsey at the top of the innings. I would say he had the best innings with the bat today out of anybody. 84
Nice.
off 54 deliveries. So I think that was pretty impressive. And then Michael Lesk has been quietly been taking lots of wickets in this tournament. So let's see where he ends up. On the wicket list at the end. So, did you guys go into Wayne Matson, the captain of Italy, getting hurt as well?
Yeah, we talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is just right off run, and it's really sad. And Jatan actually brought up an interesting thing with potentially having, just like they have concussion substitute, maybe have a severe injury substitute. The obvious what the heck right now is the is the breaking news, right? And the I had used one of the phrases earlier that says, either you do what you need to do or get off of the pot. I hope you know what pot I'm referring to, but if not, we can get into some graphic details later. But looks like they did what they needed to do, which is they, as in Pakistan, eventually said, okay, we're going to play, and then looks like the reasons given were the betterment or benefit, I should say, of all the cricketing nations, especially the ones that are not always or not financially strong per se, to so that they don't lose money. So I guess some of some of those nations raised a case with the Pakistan government or the control board, and eventually they said, okay, we'll play with India, because that definitely is the number one moneymaker, which is kind of annoying actually, because it's not even, it doesn't matter who wins or loses between India and Pakistan. It's not even the biggest match, as two big firepowers. So, but eventually it is what it is, right? For the past several decades, it's about India Pakistan match. So looks like the breaking news is Pakistan is going to eventually play India. So any thoughts on that? Or it
Yeah, I
was
mean,
expected?
no, I mean, I don't think, definitely don't think it was expected. I think what made it more likely is the fact that they would have to forfeit in the knockout rounds, and it wouldn't be consistent with like forfeiting in the group stage. So I think, I guess, a bit expected because if Pakistan has aspirations to win in the World Cup, they have to eventually play India.
Yeah.
So not surprising from that angle.
Tomorrow's match though should be a firecracker. US and Pakistan. We would definitely follow that, watch that the best we can, because USA definitely USA did almost did come close actually to causing an upset at 72 for 6. It
Hmm.
was tough for India. So,
Hmm.
and Pakistan definitely looks wobbly and vulnerable. They almost lost their match, if not for that drop catch. So it'll be, really a firecracker of a match tomorrow, Pakistan US. So
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. One last thing I wanted to add is that I think Zimbabwe's win over Oman is was really big for them. So
yep.
if it comes down to net run rate between them and Sri Lanka, then I mean, that'll only happen if Zimbabwe beats Sri Lanka.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it's
it's
interesting you
kind of
say
hard
that.
now for that to happen because Ireland are like and Sri Lanka already played, and Oman
Yeah.
showed that they're pretty poor. So Sri Lanka shouldn't lose to Oman. So there isn't really a way for Zimbabwe
Well,
and
wait.
Sri
So
Lanka
hold
to
on, hold
have
on.
two losses.
No, no. But what if that match is washed out?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we were we had talked about earlier, that they scoring quickly, 100 runs in whatever 13 overs gives them a net run rate of 2. If Australia wins all their matches, and if Sri Lanka Zimbabwe match, which again we had called out earlier, saying that would be one of the big matches to follow, but for some reason I don't know exactly at the top of my head where it's going to be played. Maybe it's in Colombo again. I don't know what the weather looks like, but for whatever reason, if that match gets abandoned or washed out, then the net run rate will come
It's
into.
in Colombo. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I was just thinking, Siddharth, that it's just 3 days done the World Cup, not like weeks and weeks, but so much action. And every time we say, hey, this day is going to be straightforward, just like today's day we thought would be straightforward, there was still some drama, obviously injuries and other things included. There's always something happening. It's never a dull moment. The glorious game of uncertainties. If nothing else, then we wrap up. And as I've said before, our listeners, I think we are getting a pretty decent response. Again, a plea to the listeners: give us any subscribe, likes, any comments. Let us know if we lose you at some point. I mean, we would appreciate any and all feedback. So we love it here. And as we said at the beginning of this show, when we set it up, this is just 3 fans, right? Siddharth, Jatan, and I, Prashant. We're just 3 fans talking about cricket. Hopefully, you're enjoying listening to our conversations, and we are trying to speak to you. So we want to hear back from you. Adios.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.
This episode was produced by Mukta, Phatak. Music by Joe Reynolds.